Now on WCCO's Voices.
We show that love wins. Today we show that our community is resilient. We have a right to bury our loved ones just like everybody else.
We want them to feel successful, supported, and feel like they are able to be independent in that. Because when you feel independent and you feel like you can be autonomous, there's dignity in that.
As a person of color, a lot of times I don't see people who look like me, but I like to get the kids out skiing. I've taken 3,000 kids over 30 years, probably 100 a year.
He's just like a normal kid like us. He has a wheelchair, but other than that, he's just a normal kid. He deserves to play too.
Everyone does.
Everyone deserves to play.
Those are a few of the Minnesotans we'll meet on this episode of WCCO's Voices. I'm Reg Chapman. Thanks for joining me as we explore the diverse voices of our community. We begin in Brooklyn Center, where the police department will soon partner with social workers and mental health professionals on 911 calls. David Schumann talks with a mother leading the push to make officers and people in crisis safer.
Armed and angry, already on edge officers are showing up to a situation that's a mental health crisis. That's not going to help anything.
Amity Dimmick lost her son, Kobe Dimmick Heisler, at the age of 21 when Brooklyn Center police officers shot and killed him. Kobe, who had autism, was holding a knife during a mental health crisis in 2019. Amity's advocated for police reforms for years, and she says she's excited about a program Brooklyn Center approved last week. It's called Expanded Response. Starting later this month, a social worker and paramedic will be dispatched to mental health-related 911 calls. Next year, licensed mental health practitioners will join the team.
Any of them are going to be better than the police. They are more trained, they're more prone to de-escalation, and they deal with this stuff every day.
Brooklyn Center Police Chief Garrett Fleslin said in a statement, "Our goal is not to replace any part of our services, but to expand them. By offering new ways to address challenges, we can better serve all residents, ensuring that everyone has access to the most appropriate support in any situation." The city says the expanded response will free officers up to focus on what they're best trained for, and that other communities with similar programs have seen less violence and fewer arrests as a result, which ends up saving the city money long term. Amity does have some misgivings about the program, like that it's not 24/7, but she's cautiously optimistic.
We have to accept the baby steps, and we have to kind of celebrate them, because essentially that's how this progress is made.
In Brooklyn Center, David Schumann, WCCO News.
Minneapolis, Brooklyn Park, and Ramsey County also have alternative 911 response teams for mental health calls. A major milestone for a Minneapolis boy seriously hurt by gunfire. I spoke with LaDavion Garrett Jr.'s grandmother about their ongoing fight for justice as he turned 14 years old.
Yeah, we hanging out today, man. It's your birthday.
It's a special day for a special young man. LaDavion Garrett Jr. is 14 years old.
You know it's your birthday? It's your birthday, man. Granny love you.
His primary caregiver, grandmother Cherie Jennings.
Every day, it's a miracle that he's still with us.
LaDavion has had many surgeries and health struggles since April 30th, 2021. That's when someone shot him in the head as he rode in a car with his parents.
Because he was 10 when it happened. He's 14 now. This is no more than God. This is a miracle. They said 72 hours, and he's 14.
LaDavion is one of 3 children shot in the head over a span of several weeks in April and May of 2021. Trinity Addison Smith, Anaya Allen both died from their gunshot wounds. Trinity's killer is behind bars. Anaya Allen's and LaDavion's family still looking for justice.
Anaya didn't deserve that. Trinity didn't deserve that. LaDavion, these are kids that got robbed of their childhood. So how are we as a community not mad? How are we not coming together? Everybody should be talking about this.
LaDavion cannot walk or talk, but he is taking life day by day, letting Jennings know he is a fighter with a smile.
But it's a slap in the face too today, because here we are 4 years later, and we still don't have no justice.
She wants justice, but until then, she will care for LaDavion, hoping for help in finding a rambler so it's not so hard to help this 14-year-old live as normal a life as possible. Anaya's family expressed the same frustrations after 3 years since the 6-year-old girl was killed. Anaya Allen was hit by a stray bullet near 36th and Penn Avenue in North Minneapolis. Year after year, loved ones leave stuffed animals and balloons near her picture. Now city leaders are honoring her memory by adding her name to the street signs. Her grandfather, community activist KG Wilson, hopes it will bring his family justice.
We just continue to want justice, and with this street, we hope that that memory or somebody finds it in their heart to say, look, man, wow, now there's a street named after her. We need to come clean and come forward.
Now, there is a $180,000 reward for information to leading arrests and convictions in the shooting of Anaya and LaDavion. You can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 800-222-8477. It's that kind of violence that had people harnessing the power of prayer in North Minneapolis. A couple dozen people walked the streets spreading hope and pushing back against gun violence. David Schumann shares how it all just gets started.
I have seen the good, the real good, and the bad and the sad that happens on the north side.
The people here love North Minneapolis. That's why they're spending their Sunday walking its streets and praying.
We all come together in prayer today for our community, for gun violence, for the drug infestation.
Along the way, they prayed with the community too. Pastor Doris Allison with Proverbs Christian Fellowship Church is helping lead this group of true believers who are turning to God for the neighborhood's protection.
We have buried many gang members who were killed. We have buried many people from fentanyl. I have seen what youth have been facing in this community, and it's time to make a difference.
2 Minneapolis police officers joined the walk, which Allison says signals the unity between law enforcement and the faith community.
They want to get out and pray with us. And so I think that is like over the top, awesome. We will get out there and we're going to break up in 4 groups.
The walk covered approximately 40 square blocks, an area police indicated as particularly susceptible to drugs and violence. Penn Avenue is the western border of the North Minneapolis hotspot zone known as the L. Here at 35th Street, this is one of the intersections that Pastor Allison says she's seen people use fentanyl.
We're going 4 Sundays in a row. And so I believe that they will get familiar enough that on our last walk, we're going to literally connect with people. But you have to have some type of strategy in this walk.
In Minneapolis,
I'm excited, y'all.
David Schumann, WCCO News.
In the Falwell neighborhood where the walk took place, police data shows assaults, homicides, and robberies are all up compared to last year, while car thefts and shots fired calls are down. After a decade of delays, legal woes and vandalism, work has started on Minneapolis' first Muslim-exclusive cemetery. A cemetery association bought 72 acres of land back in 2014 in Castle Rock Township near Farmington. Uba Ali explains the hurdles cleared to get to this historic moment.
As shovels thud into the ground, a symbolic moment after a decade-long battle.
This was always a dream of the Muslim community, to have its own cemetery.
That dream is now a reality as work begins on the largest and only exclusive Muslim cemetery.
It has been a long and challenging journey.
Dating back to 2014, when this 72-acre property in Castle Rock Township was purchased, then a legal battle against the township before being hit by hate in 2017. When you see no just spray painted on the wall like this, what goes through your mind?
This reinforces the idea of, not welcome here.
And again in 2021.
We had someone come and cut the gas line. It's literally a 1-inch gas line. And then cut the wires.
Jailani Hussein, executive director of the Council of American Islamic Relations, says that was a failed arson attack, resulting in over $200,000 in damage.
Today, we show that love wins. Today, we show that our community is resilient. We have a right to bury our loved ones just like everybody else.
A sacred space to practice the Islamic burial principles. Uba Ali, WCCO News.
Work is also underway on a place that's expected to be a game changer for food entrepreneurs. I found out how it aims to create opportunity.
Hey. All right.
Well, for us, it's a huge breakthrough. It's a big win for the community.
Northside Economic Opportunity Network President Warren McLean has been working on this project for years, and now it's finally a reality. Neon's Collective Kitchen will feature a commissary kitchen, a consumer packaged goods kitchen, and 5 individual retail kitchens to help chefs create the dishes of their dreams at scale.
The big issue for food entrepreneurs is they don't have a commercial kitchen, and that's required to prepare your food. And so they can, in this facility, prepare their food like their own kitchen.
This collective kitchen will also feature a second-floor classroom space to provide cooking classes for both business entrepreneurs and the community.
Oh, it's a godsend. I have been eagerly anticipating this moment.
Jada Williams, better known as the Bougie Waffle Lady.
We call it our sweet chick. It is a sweet potato waffle with a maple sriracha.
Says this new community kitchen is a game changer.
I want to be able to go to big festivals. I want to be able to service corporations and sports teams.
Jada reached out to Neon with only her dream in hand.
Neon has started me from the very beginning. When I was doing this outside of my house, not knowing which way to go, I reached out to Neon. They started me on a food cart, and then within a year, I was able to buy the truck with all of their direction and support.
A dream that has now come full circle with a state-of-the-art commercial kitchen.
It's going to become a destination for our clients, for this community. And it's also because it's a new facility, more people will invest, I think, in our community as a result of that.
According to the Center for Economic Inclusion, only 6% of bank loans go to Twin Cities businesses in neighborhoods with a majority of people of color. Neon's Collective Kitchen is set to open November 2025. An update almost 2 years in the making. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield takes us back to December 2022 when generous WCCO viewers took action to support local 6th graders.
At Glen Lake Elementary, the mission is spelled out. They want an accessible playground, and they want it bad.
The merry-go-round and the swings.
The students and staff are going to great lengths to make the $300,000 dream come true.
We'll go on the right side of the street first.
They are door knocking and cold calling, and it's a shared mission.
You do not use a wheelchair.
Nope.
Why is it so important for you to have this playground here?
It's important for me to have this playground here so people in wheelchairs can have fun too.
Because the current setup leaves some out.
I get this feeling of setback, or like I'm not being able to do what I'm capable of doing. So I'm really excited about this new equipment.
Felix and Hyatt are too.
I'm excited to spin on the merry-go-round.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I'm excited to swing on this swing.
Something as simple as joining your friends on the swing and having a shared experience at the same time, it's going to be the great equalizer. We're very excited about it.
A month later, we got a call that someone had donated $200,000 anonymously. What's happened since? Ahead. And next, what it means that a U.S. president has apologized for a brutal piece of American history. A historic apology from U.S. President Joe Biden for the government's abuse of Native American children.
I formally apologize as President of the United States of America for what we did. I formally apologize. Children abused, emotionally, physically, and sexually abused, forced into hard labor, some put up for adoption without the consent of their birth parents, some left for dead in unmarked graves.
The apology was one of the recommendations of a boarding school investigation and report spearheaded by U.S. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, the first Native American to lead the agency. For about 150 years, thousands of indigenous children were forced into federal boarding schools. The 2022 report says nearly 1,000 children from Native nations died in the government's boarding school system. I sat down with an Ojibwe elder who shared how his and other families are still dealing with generational trauma caused by those schools.
Going back and think about all the things I lost.
George Lucier says it's hard to put into words how much of his culture and history has been lost because his parents were forced into boarding schools.
Yeah, we weren't even taught about our culture. It wasn't even mentioned.
He says every Native American alive today is impacted by what the federal government and religious institutions did from 1819 to the 1970s, forcing indigenous people to assimilate into white American culture.
My dad used to talk about it. He said they used to run away. And then they'd catch them, send them back, and who knows what they did to them when they get back.
Lucier says his father did not speak much about his treatment in boarding school. His mother never talked about it.
The important part to take away, right, is that Native American history is American history, and that we have to tell the full story of our country.
Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan was with President Biden in Arizona.
Well, it was incredibly powerful to witness the apology from the President of the United States regarding the federal American Indian boarding school policy while my daughter was seated right next to me.
She hopes people do their own research to learn more about the boarding school era and the policies that strip generations of language and culture away from Native people. For Lucier, the president's apology is too little, too late. So the president's apology don't mean anything to you?
No, it don't. But I'm being honest. The way I've been treated all my life, and it's going to be up to the individual to accept it. But some people won't.
The lieutenant governor says she understands these feelings, but hopes what happens moving forward helps heal old wounds. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan says the apology is just a step towards healing. It comes with an investment into language revitalization and other resources to help restore some of what was stripped from indigenous people. One historian we spoke with also says there is more work that needs to be done and explained the devastating impact of those boarding school era.
The boarding school era was also the era of the largest mass dispossession in world history, when American Indians lost 90 million acres of land. So if someone wants to apologize, you can apologize for the boarding school era, that those people had largely passed away. But there was an accompanying dispossession of Native people that took place during that same exact era that also came to an end in 1934 under Roosevelt. And I feel like the dispossession is something we can still do something about today. And it goes beyond apologies.
Another step towards healing, revisiting the language that we used to label sacred places. In the late 1600s, Father Hennepin renamed what is now known as St. Anthony Falls. Photojournalist Tony Peterson shows us the power of going back to the Dakota language to examine a deeper spiritual meaning to the area.
Dakota people don't have a migration story to this place. This is the creation. This is where we come from. So I would like them to realize that and understand that this is our home and this is where we come from.
This has been a sacred place for Dakota people for many generations. Now something new is coming. Sadly, Dakota presence and culture has been erased. This space brings up a lot of emotions for a lot of different people, sometimes anger, sometimes hope for what the site can be.
I have mixed feelings when I come to this site because, you know, there's a sense of sadness looking at the construction and the industrialism that happened here and the destruction that happened to what was once a beautiful area.
What our organization does is kind of bring that back, and so the audio tours are a big part of bringing that culture back, bringing Dakota language and Dakota visibility back so visitors know that this is Dakota homeland.
It's really important to me personally to see actual Dakota people here representing, bringing back the language and activities to the area.
There are 5 audio tour signs total, stops on the tour, and each of them have Dakota phrasing that give a Dakota perspective of the site.
With technology, it's so easy to just scan the QR code. You can hear the language being spoken. You can get a snippet of the history here.
There was no signage telling you that this is Dakota land that you're standing on. And so this is giving people a little look into that and that perspective and reminding them that Dakota people were the original inhabitants of the land.
To see little efforts from everyone, all the different groups and all the different tribes to bring back culture, to bring back language, to bring back ceremony and activities, you know, it really uplifts the people
So it's been a really long process and journey, but this past year we signed a lease with the Army Corps of Engineers to do more programming on site, which has allowed us to put up these signs.
It seems like we're having an actual physical Dakota voice here in the middle of Minneapolis, which hasn't happened for a long time. I get excited to see what's to come and what our org is trying to do.
Farming has become generational since Minnesota became a state. That can make it hard for immigrant farmers to establish roots. Jeff Wagner visited a unique plot northeast of the Twin Cities where farming dreams are growing.
We have herbs, cucumbers, and then tomatillos.
2 acres of land.
Ground cherries, tomatoes, peppers.
And almost too many crops to count.
Snap peas, corn, squashes.
Variety fills the field, affectionately named Mom's Garden, an ode to Zua Lee, back there in the hat, who has passed down her passion of farming to her daughter, Dee Tao.
I've basically farmed all my life because she has farmed all her life as well, too, since she was a little girl in Laos.
That typically was on smaller plots scattered across the Twin Cities, growing food for their family and sharing the rest.
This is fresh cucumber.
This is freshly picked. And there's always just a surplus of, produce. And so that's why we decided to bring it commercial to share it with our community as well, too.
Mom's Farm is located on Big River Farms, 60 acres of land tucked into the woods in Washington County. The program, put on by the nonprofit The Food Group, teaches the basics of organic farming while giving students access to land, equipment, and knowledge they might not be able to find, let alone afford.
It can cost $3,000 to $4,000 for a farmer to start without this type of support.
Kazua Berry is the farm director.
We have farmers who range from never growing food before, like they might have houseplants, or they might dream of growing food, or they might go to the market and they're like, I want to know how that's grown, and they grow.
It starts with the 3-year grower training program. Prospective farmers get 1/8 of an acre of land, access to classes, and all the infrastructure, tools, and machinery needed to run their farm. Starting cost is $350 per year. Once grower training is complete, they can apply for the incubator program. Basically, growers start running their own farming business from Big River Farms.
We want them to feel successful, supported, and feel like they are able to be independent in that. Because when you feel independent and you feel like you can be autonomous, there's dignity in that.
Regardless of how far along growers are in the programs, all can make money from their crops. Many sell at farmers markets or to food shelves, like the Wellstone Center Food Market at the Neighborhood House in St. Paul.
The bulk of our food, I'd say 90%, comes from 2 different food banks, so one of which is the Food Group. And I will say that the produce we get from them is unparalleled to some of the other produce we get.
While the quality of the produce is appreciated, so too is knowing who in particular is growing it.
The importance of local, sustainable, organic produce is really important to us. I know at Big River Farms they invest in BIPOC farmers, emerging farmers, and it's really a community supporting community.
Immigrants, BIPOC, women, and others underrepresented in the farming community are the people that Big River Farms tries to help with its programs.
Would you say you grew up on this farm in a way?
Yeah, I felt like it because we were here every year.
Mongpa Lee's family was one of the originals at Big River Farms. They spent 14 years on the property, setting roots beyond their crops.
And so if you see these fencing, this is what my dad put in when we started.
Today, she and her mother run Mongpa's Garden, the first Hmong-owned certified organic farm in the state. They grow over 70 varieties of produce, selling at farmers markets to food shelves and beyond. A thriving business nurtured from just an idea here.
The program was definitely a stepping stone for us, and I think that you had to take that jump. And if there was not Big River Farms, I don't think that there's really any other opportunity.
Not all success stories will look like Lee's. Barry says some growers simply want to feed their families, make some cash on the side, and connect with the land. A chance to grow their dream however they want.
The farmers that we work with are some of the most resilient people, for sure.
Big River Farms will soon accept applications for the 2025 Grower Training Program. Find details at thefoodgroupmn.org. Now, coming out isn't always an easy thing to do for people who are LGBTQ+. Thankfully, there's a Minnesota organization helping to support our queer youth. Our Adam Del Rosso visited Reclaim to learn more about their work.
Yeah, so this is our main lobby where our clients come in.
When you first walk into Reclaim, you immediately feel a warm sense of welcome. On the wall, a board filled with positivity.
Having fun, being true to yourself, things like that. So yeah, kind of just really driving this idea that like,
that reaffirmation
yeah,
that yourself, you're worth something and you are loved no matter what your experience is outside of this room.
Yeah, and that you really can control your own personal power and your own process, and therapy is key in that, of like taking back your power for your healing, for your process, for your journey. You know, really the name Reclaim comes from our mission statement. So we're a nonprofit and our mission is to increase access to mental health care for queer and trans youth so they're able to reclaim their lives from oppression in all of its forms.
With clients as young as 12, Executive Director Ryan Fount says it's important that healthcare is financially accessible.
Then we use our sliding scale process, and which goes all the way down to 0, and we work with them even if they're not able to pay. And that's something that's unique for us.
So everyone gets the help they need.
This young person came in, I think they were 18, and they were like, you know, I just turned 18, I came from New York City, my dad brought me a plane ticket, I got on a plane, I flew here, I just got off the bus from the airport and I'm here at Reclaim and I need to get into a shelter. You know, right now, everyone on our staff, we are a member in some way of the LGBTQ+ community. So not only is this work for us, but we're also personally part of this community that we're here serving. And that does add an additional layer of, you know, emotionality behind the work.
Most of Reclaim's clients are here in the metro, but the need reaches all across the state, with nearly 50% of queer Minnesotans saying they aren't able to access therapy.
Some communities throughout the state, there's literally nothing. You know, maybe a school, you know, has a couple affirming staff members, and that's basically it.
That's why Reclaim offers virtual therapy. And they're also launching a pilot program with other therapists around the state. The first in 2 harbors. But none of it would be possible without help from the community.
That community support has been the backbone of what we do. Right now, about 70% of our budget comes from the community, whether that's foundation support or individual donors, business partners, etc. So it really is funded by the community, and that ongoing support to keep that going is a really key element for us to continue to be here for young people.
Find resources at reclaim.care. Still ahead on Voices, we'll get a look at an inclusive playground 2 years in the making, and meet a gym teacher who is making sure his students find out what they are capable of. That's next on Voices. Welcome back to Voices. 2 years ago, Hopkins 6th graders decided they needed to be able to play with all their friends. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shows us how it's finally happening.
You push me?
I got you!
There we go.
They all have each other's backs around here.
Oh no, you're gonna get the wheel! You're gonna get the wheel! It's spinning without you. Oh, there you go.
Everywhere you look, love, real love, is in the air because of what's on the ground.
There's just a ton of things to do, and I think it's really cool. The fact that they were able to do all of this is just amazing.
They are John's friends, students who don't use wheelchairs.
John's one of my really good friends, and there are kids at this school that are in wheelchairs, and they couldn't play on the old playground, and they were just sitting on the side watching other kids play. So we just like looked out the window one day and then talked to Miss Julian about like, oh, we should make this playground accessible.
We cold called local businesses. We went door to door knocking, handed out flyers. We did a coin drive.
Their persistence paid off. The original goal was to get a swing for $35,000, but they raised $1 million for an entirely new playground, bringing the teacher who fueled them to tears.
It's just so fun to see where students who take initiative on something that they wanted to fix, and then what their dreams and using their voices for good, and a lot of adults who are willing to say yes and go with it, what it created. Yeah, something very beautiful.
just to see how much a non-wheelchair user or a non-disabled person actually does care, it's just really reassuring that like there are good people in this world.
And on this day, those good people came back to their old elementary school.
Okay.
And now you're in
8th grade.
And when I met you, you were in
6th.
They got to see the fruits of their labor. What does it feel like to see this?
It feels good. I mean, all the work we put into this, definitely worth it.
But they weren't just here to look. They were here to play and quickly realized
Wait, we both have the H and A.
how much they have in common.
Yes. I do. I do too. Wow, I like your earrings.
Miss Cher teaches kids with disabilities. She watched in wonder.
Our children at Glen Lake believe, regardless of disability, they believe they belong together. And the playground is a phenomenal tool to just enhance that.
This is about legitimately becoming friends.
Right, becoming friends. And years from now, when they're adults and they run into somebody with multiple disabilities, they'll realize, I don't have to be afraid. And there's adults who don't know that. They're learning lessons that will be with them for a lifetime.
As they continue to have each other's backs.
He has a wheelchair, but other than that, he's just a normal kid. He deserves to play too.
Everyone does.
Everyone deserves to play.
And just like that, thank you for letting us be part of this journey.
Yeah, well, thank you for being part of it.
$1 million dream came true. With photojournalist Joel Thurston and Hopkins, Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, WCCO News. Okay, we're back live with Betsy Jolie. I gotta hold your hand here because we've both been in tears over this. But this is your baby. I mean, I feel like we're old friends now, but it's been 2 years we've been talking about this. And you said that when you first got to just see them playing together, I mean, what went through your body and your soul?
Yeah, I cry a lot. And I kept saying, like, I don't want to cry on this interview. And I know that's not possible just because of how beautiful and emotional and passionate my students were and how amazing all of our supporters were in getting this beautiful playground completed.
Yeah, I think you're right. And one thing that you said that really hit me was it also took a bunch of adults taking them seriously.
Yeah.
Because I watched them cold call businesses like, hi, can you, and some businesses did step up, and WCCO viewers stepped up for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I literally have chills going up and down my legs right now. But one thing that's so special about this project too is it doesn't end here. Because yes, we have it in Hopkins now, but many of our viewers live all over the metro, all over the state, all over Wisconsin, and people are watching us online in other parts of the country. So where do we go from here? That's kind of the question after this. And you guys have some ideas.
Yeah, well, my students have a lot of ideas, and we've learned to just say yes. And my principal said it best, it creates lots of to-dos for all the adults in this world, but we love them so much and believe in them that those yeses turn into beautiful, magical things. And so their dreams were not to stop at this playground. Their dreams were to make another one, maybe at their middle school, make any more and help anybody else they can in Minnesota. I mean, they're thinking big picture.
And you guys actually started a nonprofit.
We started a nonprofit. They want to change laws at a state and national level. They just want playgrounds where everybody feels included and can have fun.
And you've got the shirt on for the nonprofit.
I do.
Tell us what it's called and how people can kind of get information.
Yeah, Minnesota Play for All. The kids designed, so I had 150 of my students design logos. Then they all voted on them. We made t-shirts, we're making stickers. Their nonprofit is just starting, and so they have the preliminary website set up. And it's pretty great. They're excited to fundraise for kind of a play space at their middle school where everybody can still have fun together. And
yes, and I know a lot of people out there are watching going, I want to start one in my community. What would you say is the first step?
Yeah, get your people. So my students really rallied their community and the businesses around them and got everybody really invested. Not only their school, but their broader community. and that I think fueled the fire of their passion and why it was so important to them.
Because it takes major fundraising. I mean, just the flooring of it, the kind of rubber surface that's wheelchair friendly was $300,000.
$330,000.
Yeah, so this takes money, but it can be done, and y'all showed it in the most beautiful of ways there.
Yeah.
I am so moved by what you've done, Betsy. And also, side note, it's Betsy's birthday.
It is.
So we celebrate you, we celebrate these kids, and just the love that will keep coming from this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A St. Paul PE teacher runs his class a little differently. It's earned him a lot of love from his students and now statewide recognition. WCCO's Mariel Mose introduces us to Mr. Combs.
Wait, let's get our helmets on first.
Inside Murray Middle School.
Adjust your seat, please.
There's an unconventional sport happening in this physical education class.
Power pedal up.
Biking and bike safety practices.
What does it mean if I go that way?
Mr. Dwayne Combs has been teaching in the St. Paul Public School District for the last 34 years. He prides himself in teaching his students sports with a practical purpose.
So I'm trying to teach them lifelong learning skills. Good balance. Because a lot of kids do ride their bike to school. It teaches them hand signals, how to get over on the right, just how to interact with traffic.
He also teaches his students skiing in the winter.
As a person of color, a lot of times I don't see people who look like me, but I like to get the kids out skiing. I've taken 3,000 kids over 30 years, probably 100 a year.
I've had an opportunity to do great things with kids.
Mr. Combs was named State Middle School Physical Education Teacher of the Year and was recently recognized at a school board meeting.
I was not surprised.
I wasn't surprised either, because he just...
Yeah, he's an amazing teacher.
Yeah.
7th graders Elliot Leak and Ksenia Cantrell are big fans of Mr. Combs because he teaches them something new, but also finds a way to make it fun.
All righty, good job.
He was like, okay, we're gonna go bike for the hallways. I was like, what? What?
He's like, just don't make skid marks, because otherwise I'm going to be in big trouble.
All right, right turn.
For Mr. Combs, seeing these kids having so much joy in school is greater than any statewide recognition.
This is so fun.
And I treat the kids as if they're my own, and that's what gives me success.
In St. Paul,
my job keeps me young.
Mariel Mose, WCCO Sports.
Head to youtube.com/WCCO and click on playlist for more stories giving voice to diverse communities. I'm Reg Chapman. Thanks for joining us for Voices.